Hey readers, this is Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire Books, and I want to talk about a book that I read this month that I thought was absolutely fantastic and that you should go read it too. And that book is 9 Days, The Race to Save Martin Luther King Jr.'s Life and Win the 1960 Election. This book does what I really love for nonfiction to do, which is take an event from history, really look at it closely, examine all of the consequences and all of the people involved, and ultimately use it to create an amazing picture of a time and a place and the feelings and tensions of that time and place. In this case, the book centers on the arrest of Martin Luther King Jr. along with a bunch of student activists after a sit-in right here in Atlanta where I live now. After some time in prison, most of the students were released. However, Martin Luther King Jr. had a very minor traffic violation in another county in Georgia, and people who had a problem with his activism took advantage of that to try to send him to a penal colony and basically punish him in ways that were really obviously unjust. This led to a huge conflict among lawyers, civil rights activists, and white supremacists. But because this also happened at the time of the 1960 election, and Richard Nixon and JFK were super close in this brutally tight race, the event took on an entirely new set of potential consequences and a new meaning. And this is where the book really does a lot for me, because it really presents this time and information about this time in a way that I thought was super enlightening. Like, I had no idea that it used to be that there was some competition between Republicans and Democrats to win the black vote in America, and that a lot of people thought that Nixon was actually more moderate on the issue of civil rights. It was also interesting to hear about JFK and his civil rights team trying to get him involved in taking a stand about Martin Luther King Jr. because of the significance that he had in the black community. Hearing about how the politicians tried to dance around the issue, avoid getting stuck in civil rights issues, had to juggle whether they were going to court gross racists or if they were going to make a play for the black vote as no one ever had before. All of these elements come together in this book, and I really felt like I came away from it with a much better understanding of actually a lot of who Martin Luther King Jr. was as a person, which I appreciated. The hard work of the team around him and some of the other activists who were part of the same civil rights movement, and also of political ideas that were being juggled at this time. I think that even though I knew that civil rights was bad in the 60s, looking at the actual intricacies of just how bad it was and just how active the KKK was right here where I live today was enlightening, disturbing, and I think something that a lot of us could get a lot out of today. This is especially true because the book is about just one incident in the life of MLK and one incident in a really long, tight, brutal election. However, it's also really clear that this particular moment, both in Martin Luther King Jr.'s life and in this campaign, echoed through the future of American politics. And by the end of the book, you're also going to see remnants of the past in play in politics right now in the election that we just had, among what politicians are saying today. And to me, this is something that nonfiction should do when it's possible. So I know I'm just raving about this book, and I guess it's possible that some people would think that it went into too much detail or maybe went on a little long, but I personally loved every second of it. I think that it is the ideal in nonfiction in the sense that it has a very tight focus, it examines its topic very closely, and it teases out these really long-running, important consequences of the event that was considered important enough to base a book on. So, I mean, we still got a lot of 2021 left, but this may be the best nonfiction book I read this year. I'm just going to say it right now. 9 Days, The Race to Save Martin Luther King Jr.'s Life and Win the 1960 Election. Happy reading.